Hey there everyone, this is Mexican Uppercuts. I'm finally coming back to you with another guide here, but we're not on Street Fighter this time. Now we're on Tekken. There's a lot of new players getting into this game, and it's a great series. I highly recommend that you give Tekken a try, especially if you've never played it before. But Tekken has an absolute mountain of information that you need to know to even begin to start improving, and that's why I'm here to help you out. So I'm going to show you some basic ideas to hopefully help you improve your offense in Tekken 8. I'll be using Lee for all these examples, but hopefully these concepts will apply to any character, whichever you choose to play. So let's get to it. So you're in a ranked match, and you're starting to get the hang of the game, but you feel like you're kind of hitting a wall. You know some combos, and like if you land a launcher, you can convert off of it pretty well, but most of the launchers that you land, they're kind of lucky guesses. Most of the time, your opponent's defense just really seems to be a wall. They seem to block everything. Yeah, you can get a few lows in here every now and then. The lows don't do that much damage, and obviously you can't win with just lows, and they're risky. They block one of them, you're gonna get punished. So when you start to run into these players, it might feel like, oh, how can I win? I can barely even hit them. But one of the ways that you can get started improving with this is you don't want to think of your moves as individual attacks, like not just down forward one on its own. You want to think of them in pairs. So something like down forward one, backdash. Down forward one, sidestep. Down forward one, forward forward four. Down forward one, down three. You know, you want to use this move to set up other things rather than just doing it raw. Because, you know, you just raw dogging the crap out of this forward forward forward. You know, they block it, or God forbid they duck it and punish you. You know, you're just kind of praying for it to hit. Well, instead of praying for it to hit, you can instead use people's aggression against them and steal your turn back using techniques like this. So let's get into it a little bit more. So Tekken and other 3D games like Soul Calibur are a lot different from 2D games like Street Fighter or Guilty Gear or things like that. Frame data obviously matters. I mean, the game is built on it. But the third dimension gives us more opportunities to kind of bend and break these rules a little bit more. So just because you're minus doesn't mean your turn's over. Like here, I'm gonna set the bot to just do a down forward one. I'm gonna block it. All right. The bot is -1. Typically, you're like, okay, I'm minus. That means my turn is over, and my opponent can retaliate. Well, yes, but also no. Like you can totally just, yeah. If they're just gonna jab, there are a lot of ways to answer a jab. You can go under it. You can duck. You can step out of the way. You can backdash and make it whiff. There's a lot of moves that will just straight dodge it. Like, your options are not limited to just, okay, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. You know, we've got Tekken has its movement and the crush system that'll allow you to really get around what your opponent wants to do. So utilize these options instead of just going your turn, my turn, and you'll start to be able to break open these players that seem to have this seemingly impregnable defense. There's cracks, you just need to make them show. So in the lower ranks, a lot of players, and actually up at the higher ranks as well, they'll block something and then they'll want to jab afterwards. We set the bot here. The bot's gonna hit me with a down forward one. I'm gonna block it. I'm gonna jab, because obviously it's my turn now. Why wouldn't I push a button? This is what people like to do. Because they're like, okay, your turn, my turn. Your turn, my turn. Well, that's not gonna get you very far because, you know, no one's landing anything. Everything's getting blocked. So just because you're minus doesn't mean your turn is over. You can steal it back. I'm gonna set the bot to do something else here, and it's gonna absolutely wreck me. He's gonna do a down forward one. I'm gonna jab. Oh no, my jab doesn't work anymore. I'm getting hit now. My defense, my sacred turn, it's gone. And even worse, that could happen. Counter hit. And this is a launcher. So that down forward one that he did, it kind of goaded me into thinking, oh, it's my turn. I can act. I can jab. But instead, rather than getting my turn back, I got counter hit instead. This is how you can set up your offense. This is the basic bread and butter of any offense with any character. Down forward 1 is kind of a nice little generic mid poke that most characters have. If they don't, it's some other similar button, some really safe mid poke. You use it to set up other things. Here's another option that Lee has. Lee has a lot of options for this. Lee's kind of messed up. It's hilarious. Watch. I'm going to jab after this down forward 1, and I'm going to absolutely die for it. Yeah, Lee's got some moves that can just straight up dodge highs. They high crush. Well, they don't high crush, they evade. We'll get to that later. But yeah, just because you're like, oh, I'm on minus frames, I have to give up my turn to my opponent. No, you don't. You can totally use the Tekken system to just make them suffer for trying to retaliate. So you're basically using their aggression against them. So this will be different for every single character. Down forward 1, like I said, down forward 1 is kind of generic. Most characters have one of these. If not, they have something that's similar. Something like Brian. Brian has something different. Julia from Tekken 7 had something different. It depends on the character. But this is kind of the basic idea. This is how you open up people that seem to block everything. It's like, oh, well, they're like, I'm doing my moves and I'm just praying for it to hit. Like, oh no, like it's not gonna do anything if you're just praying for it to hit. You have to set it up. Get them blocking something where they think it's their turn and then steal it back. This is how you really get into people's heads. They're going to start doubting themselves. They'll start mashing even more, and you can get even more counter hits, and then it just kind of goes from there. This is the basics of offense. So again, just make sure that you think of your moves in pairs. This obviously isn't limited to just down forward 1. It can be used on a multitude of different moves. So here's another example here. He sidestepped and evaded my jab. So you have to experiment with your character's move list and see what gives them a similar situation. Usually, as long as you're -5 or better, you can do things like this. You're like at -5, you can still sidestep. You can still like crush some things with certain moves. Once you get to like -7 to -8, you do tend to just have to give up your turn and hold that because your opponent has too much frame advantage and you can't do much. But yeah, just look through your character's move list. It's like I said, it's different for every character. So I wish I could give you a more specific thing here, but it really does depend on your character's moveset because high crushing, low crushing, like evasiveness, all that stuff, it's unique to every single character and every single character model. So you just kind of have to find which one works for you. But anyway, that's the basics. Hopefully this really helped you out. Hopefully this allows you to start, setting up your offense a little bit better and maybe making some improvements on your climb to wherever you want to be. But yeah, I mean, it's good to be back. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Well, thanks for watching. I really hope this helps you out, especially if it's your first Tekken game. Like and subscribe to see more. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, all that good stuff. Good luck in your climb, and have a good day, y'all. See you later.